Aren't you proud of me? Okay, so because some people missed class last time, few things with the recording, because as you can see, I do walk back and forth a good bit. It might not always pick up what I'm saying. Okay, so don't be surprised with that. I try to stay seated over here so that it will pick me up, but I tend to pace at times. So do not be surprised by that. All right. Just as a follow-up to what I told the class, we're going to rush through kind of what I talked about with the class last class. We had a lot of people missing class because of the weather. Just a heads up, if you want a job in this industry and you call out because of weather, you will lose your job in this industry. Just fair warning. Unfortunately, it is what it is. That storm that we had on Tuesday, typically the bread and butter of the industry. We live for that stuff. We're out in the mess. We're out there doing it. We're usually out in the middle of the storm with a rain jacket trying to record it or interview people or something. So just keep that in mind, that if this is the career you want, you have to be here. I mean, not necessarily in school, you get up to 4 absences, but just for the future, keep that in mind with a job. You can't just call out because they're calling for bad weather. Okay. Now, granted, sorry, I'm having trouble reading today. I have a lot of things going on. For example, I live on the river. Okay, Saluda River. Saluda River went over the embankment, which is over 9 feet. It went up over it and was coming into our road. Now, could I have gotten to work if it came over my road? In 2020, I couldn't, but knowing that it did that, I would have to park my car at a certain spot where I know I could walk to get to it. Okay. When I worked in television during the big ice storm that shut down the upstate for 2 weeks, I literally lived at the station. All right. So I had to walk 8 or 9 blocks to get to work in the snow and sleet and ice because that was my job. If you don't show up, either 2 things will happen. Number 1, they'll fire you on the spot, or they're going to send somebody out to get you, and you'll go home whenever the chances are that you can go home. I do.
Notice my gear was a little light.
Yeah, that sucker is heavy. Yeah, knock somebody out with that. You're welcome. So just kind of keep those things in mind for in the future. All right. Luckily for y'all, there's 4 absences you can have per class. Just be mindful of that for your careers. Okay. So how our class works, we do meet in person Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you need assistance, there's some things I didn't actually go over. This is one of them. If you do need assistance, come schedule time, or don't come to me, but schedule time on Starfish with me so that time is dedicated to you and you only. Anybody that's been around me enough knows that if I'm in my office talking with you, 5,000 students will come and just bust into the office, or they'll knock on the door and interrupt us the whole time. Okay. Alex is like, oh. It is fine if you're just popping in for a quick question, but if you schedule it with me on Starfish, that time is dedicated to you and nobody else can interrupt us. It's just our time. Okay. So just keep that in mind. All right. Attendance, of course, is super important to keep up with, especially in website design. Everything builds upon everything else. So moving forward, any classes that you miss, hopefully they'll be recorded. I'll have them. I didn't record my last class by accident, so I'm going to use this one for both. But hopefully it'll be there. I'm not going to remember what you missed because I don't even remember what I say half the time in my classes. I just go by what I remember in the moment, and I don't remember what class you missed. So just make sure that you either talk to a classmate and get their notes, or you go back and you watch the video, because if you miss a step with website building, you're going to struggle to keep up with the rest of it. Okay. Now, with that being said, you are responsible for keeping up with your own stuff. You are responsible for teaching yourself the stuff as I'm teaching you, right? So I've already kind of seen it some in here. If you're, I'm going to pick on you all the time. I'm sorry, you're right beside me. If I am trying to learn from my instructor, and I'm going to do it the other way because I don't want to pick on you that bad. If she's over here trying to learn from the instructor and I keep leaning over asking for her help, guess what you're doing to her? Guess what I'm doing to her? Anybody? I'm distracting her, right? So now she's going to start falling behind because she's too busy trying to catch you up where you should have been keeping up with what we were doing. So do not disrupt your partner beside you. Don't ask them questions. If you do have a question, you need to ask me. If it is something that you just didn't keep up with, at some point, I probably will tell you to stop. And you can go back and watch the video later. I'm not trying to be ugly, but every one of y'all are paying to be here. And it's not fair for 2 or 3 people to hold up an entire class of 24, 25. Does that seem fair to y'all? Would y'all not want that to happen? Some of y'all took my class last semester with digital photography. We had the same situations happening there. And I said, this is enough. I'm not going to stop the whole class because 2 to 3 people are not willing to pay attention enough to keep up. Okay. So like I told everybody, the first class, Tuesday, if you feel like you're going to struggle through this class, either A, be strong enough that you can go back and watch the videos, keep up with it that way, or B, you might want to reconsider taking the class. Because website design is not the hardest thing, but it's not the easiest thing either. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right, we already talked about that. Okay. So these are all the things. I hate graph. I did not build this one. I hate the little animations. All right, so these are all the things you're going to learn in this class this semester. All right, I'm going to teach you a little bit about the history today, and then once we're done with that, we're done, because guess what? Building a website, you don't necessarily need to know the history of it, right? And history is not something that map people tend to be all about. So we'll go to a little bit of things that you might need to know, but other than that, we're not going to go into a whole depth thing. You're not going to be graded on it, okay? But we are going to talk about standards, practices. We're going to talk about how to plan, how to do the redesigns of somebody else's website. The majority of the jobs I have gotten that are, because I do freelance, the majority of the jobs I've gotten to do websites is because somebody already tried to do it themselves and it was awful and they need me to step in and redesign it. So you're going to learn how to redesign people's websites as well. We're going to talk about visual design strategies. We'll talk a little bit about information design, but you kind of learn more about informational design in another graphics class. We're going to talk about content strategy and design, how to, or what programs to use to do asset preparation. Okay. Prototyping, basic HTML, and then how to create web design proposals, because you don't want to go tell somebody what you have this idea for, build it, create it, spend a month working on it for them to go, that's not at all what I thought it was going to be. That would suck, right? We definitely don't want that. So I'm going to teach you how to kind of design it, throw your ideas out there and show them what you're thinking about before you ever have to go into all the work of building it. Okay. So then here, we're going to also analyze websites and propose revisions. We're going to talk about industry standard planning and design documents, kind of create some of those. We'll evaluate them. That's another thing, as we're evaluating each other's works in class, because we'll pull them up and talk about them. You have to be 2 things. You have to be able to accept criticism, Constructive criticism, like I don't want Jim Bob over here going, oh, wow, that is shit, right? Like we're not going to do that. Okay. But giving constructive feedback and then accepting it. Those are two big things that you're going to have to be able to do. You can't get butt hurt over something that you thought looked great and it really didn't. Okay. So kind of getting a thick wall of skin is going to be needed. All right. Because trust me, I can come up with the most beautiful design plans that I think are fantastic. And my client's like, no, I hate it. That's not what I want. And then they'll do something that's so hideous. I don't even put it in my portfolio because I hate it. Okay. So these are things you have to keep in mind. We're going to also teach you how to do what we call a responsive web design, which is being able to create a website that works on both desktop and mobile devices. And then by the time you're done with this class, you're going to have your own website page that you created, two actually. We'll start with one and then we'll build the second one and they'll link. And then you're going to create a website for a client as well. So by the time you're done with me, you can code a basic, nice looking website. Cool. Any questions? Everybody good? Awesome. Y'all were so much quieter than my first class. Okay, so we talked a little bit about this. You're going to need notepad, sketch pen, pencil, whatever you want to sketch your ideas on. I use an iPad sometimes. You don't necessarily need a word processing software. We'll go over kind of what you will need, but in this class, you're going to use XD for prototyping. We'll use Dreamweaver sometimes, and you all should have Notepad++ on your computers now. I did get them to download them on our computers. All right. And then the asset creation, you're going to use any program you're comfortable with, whether it's Photoshop, Illustrator, GIMP. Some people use Adobe Express. So any of that's fine. I'm not picky on that part. I just need to see it by the time you're done. So how to succeed, don't get behind, take notes, turn in all your assignments in order. Don't submit a website and then try to send me your mock-up later. That's not going to work. You will get a 0 for your web design because I never approved the mock-up. Follow the instructions for all the projects carefully. And by that, I mean, and some of y'all have learned this already from last class, you miss one character and it's not going to work properly. So when you follow the instructions, you're going to have to follow them per character with website design. Okay. So that's going to be extremely, extremely important. And I'm probably going to say that 500 times throughout our whole class. If something's not working, that's probably why you didn't put in a character that you were supposed to. So you have to watch and follow along extremely, I mean, to a T. You can't just half-ass it. You will have to be on your game. And then please ask questions. Now, if they become stupid questions, and yes, there are stupid questions out there, I'm going to have to stop you and go, this is a discussion we'll have to have later because you're disrupting the whole class at this point. But if there are questions, I am more than willing to work with you and answer them. I promise. I'm actually very easy to work with. The ones that have had me know that. Okay. Keeping up with what you've turned in is your responsibility. I tend to delete them after I've graded them on my end because I'm working with 5,000 different things. So after I grade them, I tend to delete them off my computer. So keep up with your own stuff because you're going to want them when it's time for your exit portfolio class at your senior level. All right. Let's kind of go into this real quick. I always thought this was interesting. So the first internet, which was called ARPANET or something like that. I never pronounced it right, but basically ARPANET. Was actually developed between like a college and the military. They were trying to create something where they could communicate very easily back in the 60s. So the first message that was delivered through the internet was on October 29th of 69 between UCLA and Stanford. The message was supposed to be the word login. That was the only thing that got sent. But on the receiver's end, the only thing they got was LO. Low. Okay. So we have come a long way from the 60s where you could only get 2 letters sent before it crashed to what we have today. All right. It was developed by the scientists Robert Kahn and Vinton Cerf in the 70s, and or the TCP, the IP, which is what you guys see now. I'm going to explain what that means, was developed by those two people, and it was adopted by ARPANET in 83, the year I was born. That tells you how old I am. All right, so you don't need to know that. You don't really need to know that. I mean, y'all can know about these two guys, but I'm not going to grade you on them, so they're not a big deal. You'll hear about them sometimes. Tim Berners-Lee was an English engineer who created or invented that www dot that you see at the beginning. He created the World Wide Web, which was the first like web page type formatting. It's the best way I can describe it for y'all to understand. He was the one that invented all that. Okay. And then he also developed the specifications for URIs and the HTTP or URLs. I think we didn't capitalize that. HTTPs, HTMLs, or the URIs turned into URLs, sorry. And the HTTP or HTML, I need to slow down. And then they were all kind of defined as time goes on, and they're still being redefined as we get more technology and more in depth and stuff. So later on, after it was called the World Wide Web, they call it Nexus for a while. And then it was in 93, Mark Andreessen created Mosaic, which is what a lot of people see. Like one of the first web pages that was in the Mosaic was the Amazon. And then later it became Netscape, which is what I was familiar with growing up. Some of the terminology that you're going to have to know or understand, and I'm not going to like yell at you if you don't know them, because half the time I'm going to call it whatchamacallits. All right. So don't, it's okay. Nobody really cares in the industry if you call it by the right term, as long as you know what you're talking about. Some people will say otherwise, but being that I worked in the industry 15 years before I came here, nobody cares. Unless they're just being jerks. So the internet is the international network of connected computers. The protocol is a standard method for transferring data and documents over a network, such as the FTP, which is file transfer protocol, or what you guys are typically hyper aware of, which is the HTTP, okay, which is hypertext transfer protocol. Okay, and then if you see the S on the end, does anybody know what the S stands for? For the HTTPS? HTTPS, yeah. Does anybody know what the S stands for? Secured. So anytime you're putting in like your credit card information, you want to make sure that it says HTTPS before you put in your credit card information, or it means that people can actually get your data from them because it's not a secured website. Just free info out there. I do that a lot. Sorry. World Wide Web is files that are shared over the internet using the HTTP and translated by web browsers. All right. So one of the assignments you're going to have, I do have it that it was due today, but it's not. I'm going to change it to Monday. One of the assignments that you're going to have by the time we're done with our class today, you're going to have to find a website. Whoop, what did I just do? I hit a mouse. You're going to have to find a website that is deemed designed well, beautifully done. And you're going to find a website that is horrific. And trust me, they're out there. Okay. Based on the design criteria, I don't give a crap about the content. I want to know about the functionality and the design. Okay. You're going to put them into the assignment and submit them. Now, you have to give a little bit of thought about this. All right. Don't just submit basic stuff. No national brands. You can't go look up Nike and be like, theirs is good. Of course theirs are good. They're paying somebody thousands of dollars to do it. Okay. You want to find some kind of more of these like mom and pop type websites. Somebody probably at home built it. More than likely, obviously at home built it. Okay. So keep that in mind. And they're going to be due on Tuesday before your class starts. Okay. Any questions about that yet? No? Y'all were so quiet. I've already gotten through majority of my like class that I just had. with y'all in 10 minutes. Okay. All right. Ignore the date on that. I didn't update the date because I was working on other things in the page. So sorry about that. All right. So some basic web basics that you need to understand. Once again, I don't typically use this terminology. Some people will, but at least you'll know what it means if somebody says something to you about it. Okay. I usually call it the user experience and then the user interface. But this is where it kind of starts out. So you have the server, right? The server side of things, and you have the browser side of things, which is the client side. So you have what we see, and then you have what the client sees. Okay. On the server side is the physical computer somewhere. Any corporation that you're working at more than likely has their own servers built up. And it's going to be like a closet where there's a bunch of like weird looking things with a ton of wires coming in and out of it. Okay, that's the server room. And this basically running everything back and forth to other areas. Okay, it just everything goes there first and then goes back out. The computer is findable through an IP address, which is what cops tend to use when they're trying to locate, you know, pedophiles, child pornography people, or the people that are doing like bullying online. All right, now that that's become like a huge, they're finally doing something about it. They can actually look up IP addresses and find out where that person did that. So everything y'all do on these computers, they can link back to the IP address of here. Okay. The IP address is going to look something like this number right there that you see, that 187.21. It's going to be like a bunch of random numbers with a bunch of dots mixed in. Okay. Now, those IP addresses translates into URLs that are a little bit easier to find, right? Because if I told you, hey, go to this website, 184.72.57.42, whatever, y'all are going to look at me like I'm crazy, because I'm going to turn around and go, now go look at this website, 187.24.72. Right? It's going to make it a little bit harder to find websites that you're looking for. So what they do is they translate them into URLs, which is Uniform Resource Locators. And those are kind of those domain names. So the DNS, domain name system. So like the websites we look up, tctc.edu, right? Amazon.com. That's what that is. Oh, look, I even look, I use the right examples. You proud of me? Y'all should be. Okay, so the browser, or the client side, is the software running on the user's computer that is able to read the files. So it might be Chrome, Firefox, something like that. Okay, and the files that it's reading is like the HTML files, PHPs, or types of images, which would be like JPEGs, PNGs, things like that. Safari, Chrome, Firefox, and of course, whatever Microsoft decides they're pushing out next. Okay, so the Edge, Chrome, what's the newest one they had? Is that the Edge, or is it a different one now? It's still the Edge. They change it so often. I can't remember what the old one used to be. So they different, now keep this in mind too, different browsers read HTML files differently. So if you pull up a certain website on Firefox and then pull it up on Chrome, they're going to look a little bit different because that browser reads it a little bit different. That's why sometimes if something's not working on, it wasn't the Edge. What did it used to be? Internet Explorer. Remember, we used to pull stuff up on Internet Explorer and it might not work. Somebody was going to call you and tell you, well, go look it up on Firefox, or go look it up on, you know, whatever it was out at the time, Chrome or whatnot.
Anything but Internet Explorer unless you want to be there for 5 years.
Exactly. So
Didn't you like take it down?
they did take it down. Yeah. Because it sucks so bad. So a lot of times if something's not working on one browser, you can open it up on a different browser to see if it's just the browser or to see if it might be the web page. Okay. So different platforms, Mac, PCs, the Linux, they all read HTML differently as well. So keep that in mind too. These PowerPoints will all be available to y'all as well. And then of course, different devices. So my laptop's going to read a website a different way than my cell phone. And I'm going to teach you how to set it up so that you don't have to build a different website for every different mobile device there is out there. I'm going to teach you how to make it responsive so that it automatically reads it and then adjust your design to fit that page. I just spit all over, sorry. So parts of a URL. You have the first part, which identifies the protocol as the web. So the HTTP or HTTPS. Then you have the second part, which is like the www.whatever.com. And that's going to be the domain name. And then if there is stuff behind it, sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't, that's going to show the path through all the directories of that website on the server to a specific file. So for example, if I had a specific file that I was trying to send somebody, I just did this the other day, we were looking at cruises, okay? And I found the exact cruise I wanted. Instead of sending my friends to the basiccruise.com website, and then them having me telling them what date it was, how to find it, this, and this, I can copy that whole link and it directs them directly to that one cruise. Y'all do it all the time without even thinking about it, don't you? That's what all these are standing for. So you're going to have the protocol, the domain name, and a path. Now, luckily for us, as we're building websites and we have hosts, like Bluehost is one, Wix is one, they will help you just create all that for you. They'll create the paths for you. But if you were to build something from scratch, you would just have to put the /location/document to get it to go the right path that you want it to go. Does that make sense? Everybody with me? Y'all all look like you're ready to go home. Are you with me or no? Are you with me? Oh yeah. Okay. So we're gonna skip that one. All right, let's say that we're on the TCTC website. If I needed it to show the spring academic calendar, how would you maybe build out the website link? This is everything you need to know in order to build that out. I would let you go, but then you'll cheat. So don't. First thing you're going to put in is the hypertext transfer protocol, right? Which is what? HTTP. And then it's going to have that : // then what? www.tctc.what? All right. And now we needed to show the spring calendar. And let's just say that we have it set up to where it'll just automatically show it if we link it directly to the document. So we do the / after edu. What will we put as the title possibly? You could. Yep. Very easily just put 2024, like the numbers 20224, spring academic calendar. Now, if you don't want it to be all jumbled words, you could put dashes in there. Don't do dots, but you can put dashes and it will smoothly go right to that document if you have it labeled properly. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So what about if you did a biography page on yourself? What would that look like? On the way, like when you typed it in, what would it look like? HTTP and then : // and then what? www. Whatever your name is, that's what you want to put. .com probably, or whatever you paid for. Okay. Now, what if it was on a personal, like what if you had your page, which is that page, but you didn't put your biography on that first page, you put it on a different page. You do the / and then maybe put biography. And that would be your link to that page directly. Okay, does that make sense? We've already talked about that. All right, now intranets are a little bit different. You will hear this term, especially if you go work in corporate America. You will hear this. I cannot speak today. You will hear this term, intranet. Tri-County has its own intranet. How do we know it has its own intranet? It's right there. It tells you. If I go to my.tctc.edu, what is the first thing it's going to do? Pull up tracking. Well, yeah, everything's going to track. Well, yeah, it's going to pull up. Well, it will pull up a page. It's going to pull up the login. That is the difference. And that is how you know if a company has an intranet. Because it's going to pull up a login that you have to log in to be able to access certain pages on that site. Yeah.
Every 5 seconds, pull out your phone.
Yes. Yeah, the whole multi-factor. I hate multi-factor.
I just logged in 3 seconds ago to the main site. Why are you making me log in? Black horse.
Yeah, the verification code.
Again,
So the reason why companies do intranets is so they can store documents that they need to be able to share company-wide without you harassing maybe HR 500 times a day going, I need to do, a pay change. I need more money to go into savings, or I need more money to go here. And instead of them getting a form every 2 weeks that you decide to move your money around, they're going to put on their HR documents. Here's your form, fill it out yourself. Makes their lives a lot easier. Okay. So that's how you would know they have an intranet, because they have documents that only you can access should you have a login and password to do it. All right, so just some really cool facts to know about. In 2019, 4.4 billion people were active internet users and 3.5 billion were social media users. Now, of course, COVID allowed TikTok to take off, right? People went crazy during COVID with TikTok. So all of a sudden, there's more videos being posted. There was a lot more users jumping on. So more than half of all the video streaming comes from somebody's mobile device. Whereas before, it was mainly coming from cameras and video cameras or studio production, things like that next door. Okay. Now more than half of them come from somebody's cell phone. The mobile internet has grown 504% in daily media consumption since 2011. 76% of US citizens use their phones to open and respond to emails while they're watching TV. Y'all, those days that I'm working from home, my TV's on. I'm just saying. I'm watching Grey's Anatomy, watching some murder show probably. Okay. So I'm watching something while I'm working. Some of y'all actually called me while I was working from home. You might have heard some things in the background. Okay. Because if I'm at home, there's something always playing because I like the noise. But if I'm just checking an email, I'm not going to go and open up my whole laptop and go through the whole multi-factor login just to check one email. I'll just check it on my phone and respond to you from my phone. Okay. In July of 2009, there were 65,000 apps available on the Apple Store. By 2019, there were 3.262 billion, although majority of them were absolute crap and you couldn't even use them. The access to be able to build apps is so much easier to get to now than it used to be. Anybody in here could build an app by the time you're done with this class, if you haven't already done so.
You know, it's sad when the amount of apps is half the human population.
Yeah. So what does this mean to you? All right. Well, mobile web is the present and it's going to be the future. So more than likely, your design is going to have to fit on this itty bitty little screen. Okay. So you've got to make sure that your stuff is easy to use, easy to access. How many of you have ever gone onto a website on your phone and just got so frustrated because you couldn't get to the links you needed to because the way the page was laid out on your cell phone? You're like, just bump this, I'll just do it later. Okay. So that's why you want to be able to make them and build them to fit really nicely on the screens. Less visual real estate means that your messages are going to have to be a lot more powerful and impactful. So instead of saying, hey, go check out my website. I mean, I showed y'all my website last class, stacyschiff.com. My name, my contact information, instead of you seeing a paragraph this big going all about how great I am, right? It's not going to do anybody any good. And if they saw that crap pop up on this little bitty phone and it took up the whole screen, they would already just turn it off. I would. I'm not going to read about you. I love you, but sorry. I'm not going to do it. Unless you're applying for a job, and then I might read it just to see what your grammar looks like. All right. Bandwidth capabilities are going to vary as well, depending on where they are. Okay. If somebody is here, bandwidth is not going to be that bad. But if, you know, somebody's over in the Philippines where I had lived for a few months, guess what? It's not that fast over there in certain areas of the country. Okay. So you need to make sure your stuff is going to be quick. You don't want to do things like they used to with Flash. Flash, oh, hated it. So glad it's gone. Okay. Nowadays, your devices could even be on your refrigerator. Somebody said was it this class or my next class? Somebody was talking about the fact that their toaster, they could get on the web from their toaster. Okay. Like that is a TikTok video going to different stores trying to figure out if they have toasters that you can get on Facebook on. Just be like, I want to get on Facebook on my toaster. If I had that, I would literally go into my house and plug it into the living room while I'm making toast and just sit there and scroll Facebook while my toast is cooking. Okay, just saying.
And then it pops up and you have a big party.
I probably would. I would probably die in that moment. So
Facebook gives you a toast jumpster.
Mm-hmm. So depending on the screen, my computer at home, my screen at home that I plug my laptop in, because my laptop is really small. And guess what? There are certain things that are not that easy to do on a small screen, especially if you need to do multiple things at one time. So I have this big monitor that's about this big set up in my bedroom that I rigged, or in my office that I rigged so that I could move all my stuff from my laptop onto there and then sort it out into multiple screens and be able to still see it all. Okay. Depending on what you're on, you could have a huge monitor and you could have a little bitty monitor. No, we don't know what monitor you're going to have in your room or on your car or on your refrigerator. I don't know. We're going to need to know how to make those websites responsive to fit whatever that person is on. Okay. I got on the internet on my TV the other day. Literally was just scrolling Facebook on the TV. I was so bored. That's what happens when they leave me at home alone. So you've got to be able to create a good experience no matter what device the person's on. So there are 3 questions you always need to ask yourself. Number 1, who is the intended audience for the website? It's not as easy as you think it is. Saying something like, oh, that's probably for old men, not good enough. What kind of old men? Grumpy old men? No, just, fishermen, people that are interested in fishing with a certain demographic of age, or what? What is the goal of the site? What is the purpose of this site? Just to sell fishing gear? Or do you want to teach people how to do certain types of fishing techniques or certain types of knots on their fishing line? Some people didn't even know you had to do knots on a certain type of fishing line. You do, or it's not going to stay knotted. Trust me. I've learned the hard way. How is the site achieving this goal? All right. So those are the 3 questions you're going to have to ask. Who, what, how? They're going to be very important when you're trying to determine what kind of website you're going to create. So PBS directly offers multiple websites under one name. And each one of those websites are strategically for certain types of demographics. Okay. So go to pbs.org on your computer. pbs.org. Yeah, me too. So what is our first question we need to know? Out of our 3 questions, what was the first one? Who's the target audience? So looking at pbs.org, just the main page, don't go off this main page. Who's our target audience? Adults, definitely, but do we know kind of what demographic of adults? Sometimes there's more than the news though. What else? What kind of stuff? Like overall encompassing, what are the main shows that you're seeing?
Miss Fargo, Nova, PBS, all it's different.
It's a lot of dramas and documentaries. So what kind of audience are we probably looking at? The older generation who might not have cable, right? Because PBS is a free station. So older things that they might be interested in, something that's just a little bit more educational where it's not so graphic because they don't tend to like that kind of stuff. The older generation doesn't typically. Who else might be the target audience for this? Who? Learners, possibly. Anybody that's interested in just learning random facts. My son is one of those people. I'm kind of one of those people. Like I watch the show How Is It Made all the time. Mythbusters, best show ever. All right. So I'm constantly wanting to learn, but I like learning. I have a certain niche of things I like to learn about. What about the stay-at-home moms who need to have something kind of safe on TV that they can know they can show and it's not very graphic? Okay. So PBS is kind of geared towards people who might be at home a lot more, who don't really necessarily need a lot of things that we can watch on cable, but need something that would be kind of safe for whether their grandparents are visiting or if they have kids running around the house, they don't have to pause it because a sex scene just popped on. Okay. These are things to keep in mind. What's our next question? Our first one was who. We've kind of answered that. What's our next question? What is the goal of this website?
Show what shows they have.
The main page is kind of show what they're offering, right? Yeah. Kind of gives them an idea of what's going to be on at any given time. Because guess what? TV guides no longer exist. Well, the printed ones anyway. And if you don't have cable, you're not going to see a TV guide anyway. Right? So this kind of gives them an idea what shows are coming on when. What else? I just messed y'all up. Y'all were like, wait, I don't know. What do you think? Think about how it's laid out. So what is their goal? What is their purpose? Try to get you to really engage in their channel, right? So in TV, we have things called sweeps, where there's certain times of the year, I think it's twice a year that we used to do. I have to go back and check, where all of a sudden the commercials got really good. Advertisements, the news shows had really good like segments. And it was usually during sweeps when they were about to gauge how many people are watching your station. Okay. So PBS is already putting their stuff out there on their website so that people are going to want to engage in their page or their channel more so that people will want to go and watch them even more. Okay. So they're advertising themselves, trying to get you to not just stay on their website, but to actually go and watch their TV station. So they're kind of doing sweeps year round. All right. What was our last question? How? So how are they doing all this? How are they reaching their intended audience? What are they doing? They have some advertising, but it's not obnoxious advertising, is it?
You have like a simple layout of the website so that people can easily access it.
Yeah, they have a simple layout. So if you do want to know more information about maybe that TV show, you can just click on it. If you do want to know what their schedule is, you just scroll down. Okay. So it's a very clean, easy to use, navigate website. This particular website is not as complicated as some other websites that are out there because they are basing it on a demographic that either A is distracted because they have kids running around, or they're a lot more older and they're not used to having to use the internet as often. So they're going to lay everything out in a very simple on the front page mainly. And if they click off of it, they can come back to it very easily. They're going to lay it out as simple as they can. Okay, does that make sense? So these are the things you have to think about when you're building your website. Go to pbskids.org. So what's our questions again? What's the first question?
Who, what, why.
Who's our target audience?
Children and parents of the children too.
Children and parents of the kids, so that their parents can have like, hey, I really need to get this dishes washed. Please go play a game. But what kind of games are they? They're related to the shows, but they're also very educational. Yeah. Okay. And they're clean. They're not like Joe Cartoon used to be, where you would put a hamster in a blender. Okay. They're not like those websites. These are clean, children-friendly, educational websites and games and activities and little shows they could watch. Okay. How are they doing this? Could a kid navigate that page okay? Oh, yeah. Right? Yeah. My kids navigate this page all the time. Once I found it, I was like, please go do this for a little bit so I can have this conversation. Because I swear to you, kids know when you get on the phone. They will be quiet. They will be the best kids ever. And then that phone rings and you pick it up. Hello, mama, I need this. Mama, I need that. Mama, he hit me. Mama. Oh, child, if you don't get out of my face. Yeah. Mama, who you talking to? Oh, hey. That's what I always get. Hey. Boy, you better get out of my face.
My coworkers do that too.
Yeah.
My mom or dad call me, mine take my phone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And like my girlfriends and I, we Marco Polo. So like every morning we're on the phone with each other. My kids, if we called them last night, I called them last night for something on Marco Polo. My kids were like, hey. I'm like, child, I'm telling you right now, and this I do this all the time. If you don't get out of my face, you're gonna meet Jesus in person right now.
Same-day shipping.
Yeah, same day shipping. I'm gonna use that. Same day shipping, buddy. For free. Okay. So it is targeting their audience and is making, look at the colors. Are they the same as the main page? No, they're bright. They're welcoming. They're engaging. Okay. They're eye-catching. So kids are like, woo. Okay. Like the cereal aisle. All the fun colors are right at eye level for kids. So I put them in the buggy so they can't touch them. 10 years old, they're still riding in the buggy. You touch that, you die. Okay. You kind of seeing where we're going with this? Okay, cool. So when it comes to good website design, it really means good design. Okay. Website design versus design is not any different. Just be mindful. It needs to be nice and clean and working. So you guys have already done this. If you've taken the visual communication class, you've probably already done this. Or if you're taking it right now, you're learning about it you're going to be learning about it. So your page needs to be balanced, well balanced. You need to have really good emphasis on the things that you want to pop off the page. The big thing that pops off the kids' page is what?
Colors.
the buttons, and what else? Y'all, there's a spinning wheel on this thing.
Like how it is.
Yeah, there's
color.
moving parts,
my opinion.
right? So the emphasis is every time they move their mouse over something, it's gonna go, here I am, play with me, okay? So it is grabbing their attention by making it pop out, or the color is like contrasting, or it's moving, it's making it very interesting for them. Now, when it comes to color, I'm going to talk a little bit about that because I get really excited. I love color psychology. It's one of my favorite subjects of all time. You got to think about color. You got to think about spacing, proximity. You've got to think about the unity. How's this looking? How's this coming together? Does every piece work well together? Like my buttons up here is blue, but my buttons down here are red. Is that unity? Are they kind of going together? Not really, especially if every button is a different color. There's no unity whatsoever. Okay, so you'll notice here, like on the kids page, if they want you to vote on something, what color is that button?
Orange.
Orange. If they want you to play with the videos or the games, what colors are those buttons?
Red, pinkish.
Like a pinkish red or whatever that color is. They're separating their categories. If you're voting, it's this color. If you're doing this, it's this color. They're making it very easy to know what you're about to get yourself into. Okay. So how many ways does this website here create emphasis where it's making something kind of pop off or stand out?
It's kind of popping that grid. Like the scribbles,
This right here,
that and on top on the
this,
black square.
oh, this,
With the white squares.
oh, that. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of makes you, draws your eye to it because it's not,
It adds like dimension.
it has dimension. It's not really kind of matching with what's going on. So it's literally bringing your eyes to those specific points they want you to see. What else?
The logo.
The logo, right? You had this pink background, but what they did was they put something behind it to make that white logo pop out. Okay. What else?
The burst of red over on the border.
Oh, this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a little different, so it kind of pops. So they're trying to make things that on this main page that will make you stop and go, ooh, okay. They're bringing emphasis. The buttons are not that great at being emphasized, but they're there. They're contrasting. So it's kind of okay. I wouldn't have done it those ways, but What about this one?
Blue button for sure.
The blue button's nice.
No, I see the VR itself.
The headset itself, right? Like it's really cool because it's so symmetrically balanced and it's taking up the majority of the page. So you're just like, boom, buy this right now. Okay.
And the price is pretty big too, so you don't have to like go and find it.
Right. You're not trying to dig for a price. It's all right here. Like everything you need to know is all on this one page. It's there. You don't have to scroll for anything. It's all right there in your face.
What pounds are we there?
Okay. Whew, this is my wheelhouse right here. I love colors. Okay. So when you're talking about colors, there are 3 different types. Does anybody remember what they are? Or what combinations of colors?
They're primary, secondary, and tertiary.
Primary, secondary, and tertiary. You're right.
Different question.
Nope, you're right. You're right. So your primary colors are what?
Red, yellow.
So your primaries are actually red,
Yellow and
red, yellow, and blue, right?
yes.
Because blue and it's the colors that you can't really make. So it's the red, yellow, and blue. Secondary colors
Purple.
are orange, green,
Purple.
and violet. Yeah, purple, whatever. There's a difference in violet and purple, but we'll get there later. Okay. And then tertiary,
I think it's like the yellow, like the red, orange, blue, green, yellow.
there's another term for that too. No, you're right, but there's another term for it as well. And I'm going to go into that too. So tertiary is where you kind of have like the blues and the greens and the purples together because they're kind of on the same wheelhouse. Or you do like where you got like combinations. So like if you wanted to do like the orange, yellow, and yellow green, or the yellow, orange, yellow, and yellow green, they're together in the wheel. Okay. All right. So what are complementary colors? Yes.
So they look good together.
Colors that look good together. Boo, you look good. Okay. Those are the colors that are opposite of each other on the wheel, and they go really well together. Okay. So yellow, green, red, violet, yellow, orange, blue, violet. Okay. These are colors that if you had to put them together, they're going to pop. They're going to stand out and it's going to be great. Usually. Anybody know how to pronounce this word? Yes.
Analogous.
Anybody else? You're close. Analogous. You were so close. You're like me. You're going to mess it up like just a little bit. I hate that word. I don't ever like to say it. So it kind of goes along with tertiary colors because it's going to kind of follow that same path where you're going to have, but with that term I hate to say, is usually only in threes, whereas tertiary might pull multiples together. Okay. Monochromatic. There's also polychromatic, but what is monochromatic?
Or one color thing.
It's like within the same.
Structure. Or structure.
It's like primary.
So if you're looking at yellow, you're going to go into the gray tones or the white tones, right? So it's going to be everything on that yellow scale. So everything's going to have a yellow hue, whether it's lighter or darker yellow, it's up to you. But everything is going to come from that yellow color. You're not going to veer off and go into the oranges or the teals or whatever. You're going to stay in the yellow family for the monochromatic. Yes. Now, what is the warm colors? Yellow. Yeah, red, orange, and yellow. So and then red, violet. So basically anything from here to that color right there. So it's literally going to split the wheel in half. Okay. Your cool colors are everything on the other side of that wheel. Okay. Red. So the warm colors are going to be energetic, whereas your cool colors are going to be calming, is the concept behind warm versus cool. Warm is going to make things appear closer, whereas cooler tends to make things appear a little bit further off. Okay. They just recently figured that one out and I was trying to remember which one it was. Okay. I'm going to stop right there because my other class had to stop right there because we had another emergency. Long story. So, any questions about any of this? Yes.
I think the thing that stood out to me, since you did talk about a little bit of a hue, with all these colors, light and dark shaded, hue saturation.
Yeah, those are like hue saturation will make it whether it's brighter or darker, whether how much yellow you're using. Yeah. Anybody else? Any other questions? So what is your homework this week? Find a good and a bad website, and then you're going to submit it into the assignment under week 1. All right. And it'll be due Monday before your class starts. You might see that it's due by 9:35, but because y'all are the second group, y'all's are always just going to be due before your class starts. Okay. All right. Well, y'all have a good day.
We had a shooting at my apartment complex last night.
Oh my gosh.
Like right outside my door. That's scary. I've been up all night. I ain't slept at all. Oh, that would suck so bad.
Yeah, I was going to one of my classes, and my sister told me to do it on the registration file, but it doesn't.
Where it says add
Yeah,
and,
like I go to that and then I get like a little pop-up that says I have a hold, and but when I get my financial aid file, it doesn't say that.
you need to call the registrar's office.
Okay,
Call them, or you can stop back up, you can stop by there, they're up in Ruby Hicks. So
okay,
either just call TC Central
Mhm.
or go up there.
okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome. But make sure to do it by like, I think it's today.
Okay, I'll probably just. Look at it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mischief, I hope we have a great weekend.
You too.
I tried adding to my phone before and I tried it again this morning. How do I add my email? Like, I know this is my regular email on my phone and I go to add another one. Because
I think it's gonna be the exchange, but I've even had trouble with it lately, so you might have to go to IT and have them help you set it up. Cause I had trouble with it,
well,
with the
their
new
stupid phone
multi.
thing open, so
know.
I can't even check my email. And since it's not my personal email, I can't check it on my phone.
Oh, yeah, go to IT and see if they'll set that up for you real quick.
Thank you.
You're welcome, hon. Hey, hon.
Make sure I get the date right. My family got like a trip to Disney. I will be going Tuesday. the
Shame on
6th.
you. Okay,
I will let you know closer date, but I just.
yeah, cause you know I'll
Yeah,
forget.
I know you good. I will too, bro. I'll give you the heads up.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one.
You too, hon.
Thank you.
And also, I didn't show you, so you know how I told you about the basement flooding?
Yeah. My mom's basement flooded too. Yeah, that's what my mom's basement looked like.
This is our bedroom. I put down towels, hopefully to help it.
Yeah.
No, it just gave me a
Mm-mm.
whole
You need a
bunch more.
squeegee.
No, I didn't do a squeegee. We had
That's crazy.
shot back.
Oh, well, that would have worked
Yeah,
too.
we were there and inside of our garage, inside of the cannon room. It was all
That's
completely
insane.
Yeah. We were in there for 5-6 hours. Me and
Yeah.
my boyfriend's grandma couldn't get out because he had to go to work. So
That's-
the last we were there.
That's crazy.
But I'm gonna go, yeah, I'm gonna go home or whatever. And I told her that mom told me that I had to go home. She's like, well, you're an adult now. You don't have to go home. I'm like, well, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're the one she was talking to?
Oh, she tell you that?
Mhm.
Figured she would.
Yeah.
I told her, I said, well, mom told me I had to come home. I don't care if she's mom or not, and I'm adult. You still obey your mom and dad.
Yeah, if like you live under your parents' roof, you kind of get stuck. But yeah, no, I mean, I just kind of tell you because when you go into like your career, they don't care.
I mean, I know that. But like I went in there so I could be the good person. Pretty much. So that I know that I was doing the missing class.
Yeah,
And that I had problems at home to go. And she kind of just went off on me and I'm like, well.
yeah,
Can't really help that.
just move past it. It's not worth it.
That is the point, but
I know.
thanks, Daisy.
Hey, hon.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Um, Simon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm sure they. Just all skip class, do, class, let's say, it's like, what's going on? All like, where? I gotta find a critical spot. I don't, it's a hard choice. Because I don't know.
This yours?
Yeah. No, you're good. Wasn't sure, sitting here and like trying to see because we changed those. Yes, but I don't know, it's the first time we need. Yeah. We had it on Thursday. Oh, not Thursday. So Monday, obviously. I did that, yeah. Yeah, of course. We also do that. Make it sound like that, like I'm giving you hope. Same seat every time. Yeah, what was I, when I was in John's class and I was like lead cat right there, so that's what you. Yeah, I was thinking. Yeah. The days. Good old days. I can't eat this meal. He graduated. He graduated. Early? No, he didn't early graduate. He was a while. No, I still did 2-year program. Yeah, no. Roman. No. This is the middle of the volume class. It's like 20 pounds. We hired, to sing happy birthday to John, I don't know when. Do you think you would? Yeah, hear how it comes. The clown would. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh. I'm like, cold. Do you want this New Testament? You say. We're down here, it's like. Everyone on it has these. 500 people that. Yeah, he fucking stopped me, come on really fast, like, hey. Yeah, they do it every year, and then like, also, I went to like the fair in like, one time in Seneca. They were like, right when you walk in, they're like, you want a paddle? I guess so. Okay. Yeah. Web design and then online classes. Web design. That stays that. And I don't know how to name so many producers. I don't know that shit also. So I want to. Oh, there was someone behind me. I think for that question, the answer was Tyler Perry, but it had. Oh yeah, it had Oprah. Everyone picked Oprah. And I was like, yes, I didn't do that. But then I was like, dead ass. Yeah, sure. The guy behind me.
And I was just like. I like it.
Hey, I love riding bus. I love riding bus.
It's a workout. That's it. You see, John. I was like. That's a workout. I was here. I'm leaving, even though I can sit down. Leaching down. Oh, wait. Yeah, we were just talking about that. Oh, wait a minute. Look at this. I can't stop talking about it. Dude, I just got into it.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
Wait, where is he? So what happened to season 2? Oh, wait, no, I can't see it then. I have. I just started season 2, you can't do this to me.
What are you watching?
Jujutsu Kaisen. Is it spoiler? Yes. Major spoiler. Oh my god. It feels so secluded. Oh my god. I've been cracked like the past 10 years. I watched Zero. I watched Zero last night. Oh yeah, I was. I wrote one of my favorite letterbox reviews. Hey, everybody, everybody. Oh my god. Hey. Oh, what? I think you're the only person to not lie. Okay, second person, you're not lying. Oh, yeah, I've heard of it.
You can watch it.
It's John Swan. I'll check it out. Yeah, this is the exit. Cool. Yeah, I can. Sorry about that. Yeah. Oh yeah, man, that's wow. That's like creeping the fuck out. Then you like cry and smile.
I don't know if it's actually right or if it's brain just going down.
Let me look at it. I'd be both. What then? You think he was fine as his brain juice? Did you do it? I never brain juice.
I want you and brain juice.
Brain juice. Is filmmaker here. You got skate. You got the camera. You know, that's what I'm that's what I need to jump like to walk. That's like 7 feet tall. Right outside. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. They got a nice park though. It's like country, silent. You have a slope those coming apart, making sure you're okay. What? Oh, I love. No, I don't love dragons. I love drones. I love the road. I love the point of drones. You know me. We figured that out a while ago. I'm not watching that. Just taking my day. That's boring. Have you seen Jujutsu Kaisen? Okay. I thought you were like talking about a spray video where the guy's like, "This is my asshole." I can't unsee it. The eyelids. Just like the good. Oh, wait, oh, today was very. Okay, so it's an altered version of.
Every other class.
Yeah.
That I had to see.
I don't think I've, have I ever had a class with you? This is the first one?
No, we had a class.
Oh, we had, studio.
Yeah, we did.
But I didn't
We
know
had
you
like
though.
3 classes.
I don't think I knew you until studio.
Studio is fun. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, it's the most fun class. But I don't know how much I learned in it exactly. Yeah, like I learned a lot. I don't think you actually have family when you learn it.
All classes. I don't want to look at that shit.
It's so bad. They didn't follow. I think it's because, Stephen was a little too. No, lenient, but no, he was like, you're hot, but it's like, so people are just afraid to be like,
Yeah.
but you have to follow what's happening. Like I was chasing after them, and this guy's just like, move the camera. Move the
Yeah.
camera.
I hear remember Stephen would sometimes be like, oh, you're moving fast.
Yeah, like I feel like it's better to like mess up on moving.
Yeah.
Like that's a hard thing to.
I got sick. They got the fucking flu. I got sick. Cold.
Open a present. Hey.
I'm skateboard broke, so I get.
Yeah, it's too working. They're like, oh, small. So like, shit. It's successful.
Like, I don't know, I didn't see like 4 kids.
I just got it.
That's not.
I just got it.
Like spring.
You can't check your email done.
Yeah, they just.
I got. Oh, you got nominated. That's crazy. You're a small selection.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, did anyone else get?
I got medium for a small selection of the national, it's like, yeah, I don't believe that.
Oh, yeah. It's like every year, it's like. It's every semester. It's a small selection of students. I've been nominated.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going good there, but. It might be worth it.
I am gonna get 5 next. Hey, I'm done.
I'm a leadership. Leader now.
I'm leadership.
I paid $100 to be a leader.